I wasn't a liar. I asked Abby. I was not a liar.
You lie all the time, Melissa. And now you're having your kid lie.
Yeah.
Maddie lied to Chloe's face.
Yes, she did.
Upstairs.
Yes.
A duet. The name of the duet, aptly titled Wishbone. Some of my go-to girls for solos and duets are
Dance Moms, Biggest Betrayals in ALDC History, Flashback Mega-Compilation. The Abby Lee Dance Company was built on passion, precision, and fierce performances, but it thrived on drama. For every trophy won, there was a betrayal waiting backstage. Whether it was a dancer leaving the team, a mom jumping ship, or Abby Lee Miller herself blindsiding her students, the ALDC became a battleground of shifting alliances and broken trust. In this flashback mega-compilation, we're diving headfirst into the biggest betrayals in ALDC history. And fair warning, these moments still sting. Let's start with the betrayal that redefined the show. Maddie Ziegler was Abby's golden girl, her star student. The one Abby could count on to win every solo and serve face in every lyrical number. So when Maddie landed a breakout opportunity with pop icon Sia and left the ALDC behind, Abby was furious. Yes, Maddie had given years to the team. Yes, she was growing beyond the world of competitive dance. But to Abby, it was personal. She didn't just lose a student, she lost her legacy. Maddie's decision to leave in Season 6 alongside sister Mackenzie sent shockwaves through the team. The goodbye was awkward, emotional, unresolved. Abby claimed Maddie was too Hollywood now, while the other girls looked genuinely crushed. To fans, it was bittersweet. Maddie was destined for more, but turning her back on the ALDC and Abby, who helped build her career, felt like a cold move. The betrayal wasn't just professional. It was deeply personal. Before Maddie walked, there was Chloe. And her departure? It still haunts OG fans. After years of being second best to Maddie, enduring constant criticism from Abby, and watching her mom Christy get villainized week after week, Chloe finally hit her breaking point. The alleged washed-up comment from Abby during Nationals Season 4 was the final straw. Christy, always the fighter, wasn't about to let Abby humiliate her daughter anymore. In a dramatic exit that felt both triumphant and heartbreaking, Chloe and Christy walked out for good. The betrayal? It was layered. Chloe had given the ALDC everything: commitment, talent, heart. Abby's treatment of her was never fair, and leaving after winning at Nationals felt like the ultimate mic drop moment. But for the team, losing Chloe meant losing a sister, a friend, and a major part of the ALDC soul. The wound lingered. Nobody stirred the pot like Cathy Nesbitt. Originally an ALDC friend and Vivienne's mom, Cathy morphed into Abby's arch-nemesis and rival dance coach at Candy Apples. But what made Cathy truly legendary? Her ability to poach ALDC dancers. We're talking Kendall's brief stint with Cathy when Jill defected. We're talking bringing in former Abby trained boys to take down their old team. Every time Cathy showed up at a competition, it wasn't just for drama. It was a tactical attack. Her shadiest move? Recruiting dancers specifically to humiliate Abby and the ALDC. From targeting the group dances to challenging the solos, Cathy weaponized betrayal. It wasn't just about winning. It was about revenge. And while her team rarely took home first place, Cathy always won in the drama department. Abby saw her moves not just as competition, but as a direct betrayal of loyalty, respect, and dance ethics. Cathy didn't care. She thrived on the chaos. Jill Vertes. One of Dance Mom's most strategic, read, desperate moms. She entered the show with her signature fur vests and fierce ambition for Kendall. But let's not forget her messy studio hopping era. At one point, Jill ditched the ALDC for Candy Apples, thinking Cathy could offer Kendall more solos, more attention, more everything. The move shocked everyone. Cathy, of all people. Abby saw it as a straight-up betrayal. The moms were livid. And when Jill crawled back to the LDC, it was even messier. The real betrayal wasn't just switching teams. It was Jill's constant quest to prioritize Kendall's fame over team unity. And while Kendall eventually found her place, the trust shattered. Even after returning, Jill always seemed a little bit calculating. In a world where loyalty was everything, Jill's opportunism rubbed everyone the wrong way. The "I'll do whatever it takes" energy made her one of the show's most controversial moms. Kalani Hilliker was a powerhouse dancer and fan favorite, but behind the scenes, her mom Kira wasn't about to be disrespected by Abby or anyone else. So when tensions boiled over in season 5, Kira did the unthinkable. She pulled Kalani mid-season. The reason? A blowout with Abby that crossed a line. Fans were stunned. Kalani had become a core part of the team. Her departure left a massive hole in the choreography and in the ALDC sisterhood. Abby, of course, didn't take it well. She called the move disloyal, a betrayal. Another example of a mom putting herself before the team. Kalani did eventually return, but the dynamic was never quite the same. The mid-season exit had proven that even the most beloved dancers weren't untouchable. And for Abby, that sting lasted long after the credits rolled. One of the biggest betrayals in Dance Mom's history didn't come from a mom or dancer. It came from Abby Lee Miller herself. In season 6, Abby made a controversial move. She introduced a brand new team of minis and prioritized them over the OG girls. Cue the chaos. The moms were furious. The girls were hurt. Abby started giving the minis solos, special attention, and choreography tailored to them, while pushing the older girls aside. It was a classic case of out with the old, in with the new, and it felt like a slap in the face to the dancers who'd built the ALDC brand from day one. The worst part? Abby's complete lack of loyalty. These girls had stuck by her through thick and thin, defended her, danced injured, and made the show iconic. And yet, when newer, shinier options came along, Abby flipped the script without a second thought. The result? Massive fractures in the team, and a growing resentment that would eventually lead to even more exits. Abby didn't just betray the dancers. She betrayed her own legacy. In the world of dance moms, coming back wasn't always a happy reunion. When dancers like Chloe or even Brooke and Paige made surprise returns, the excitement was often short-lived. Why? Because their returns came with baggage. Chloe's return in season 7, after years away, was met with tears and hugs, but also some side-eyes. Could things ever go back to how they were? Could old wounds really heal? The truth? Not really. Every return stirred up past drama. Old rivalries. Unresolved fights. And a very clear message. When someone walks away, coming back doesn't erase the betrayal. For Abby, especially, each comeback reopened a fresh wound. Her grudges didn't go away. They festered. Let's be honest. Some of the biggest betrayals weren't about the dancing at all. They were about the moms. These women weren't just fighting for screen time. They were fighting for their kids' futures. And sometimes, that meant turning on each other. Whether it was Christy and Kelly's blowouts, Holly feeling excluded, or Melissa being accused of favoritism, the mom drama was the show. Every time one mom got a solo for her kid, another mom felt betrayed. Every time someone brought in a guest choreographer, it was considered mutiny. The backstabbing, the alliances, the whispered secrets in dressing rooms. It was like a Real Housewives episode, only with more rhinestones and jazz hands. In a twist of fate, the ultimate betrayal came from the queen herself, Abby Lee Miller. Legal troubles, studio closures, emotional breakdowns. By the end of season 7, Abby was no longer the center of the ALDC universe. She left the show, left the team, and left the girls she'd trained for years. And how did she leave? Messily. There were fights, accusations, and a lot of tears. For the girls who'd stood by her, who'd cried with her, who defended her in front of the world, it felt like a gut punch. The woman who preached loyalty abandoned them when they needed her most. Abby's exit marked the true end of an era. And it was, ironically, the biggest betrayal of all. In the cutthroat world of dance moms, betrayal wasn't just common. It was inevitable. Whether it came from dancers chasing their dreams, moms playing dirty, or Abby flipping allegiances like costumes, the ALDC was built on shaky ground. But that's what made the show iconic. The drama, the unpredictability, the heartbreak. And while the betrayals may have broken teams, trust, and friendships, they also made for unforgettable TV. Because in the ALDC, loyalty was earned, not guaranteed. And once it cracked, the fallout was legendary. How Abby began favoring Maddie and sidelining Chloe. At the start of Dance Moms, Maddie and Chloe were both rising stars. They were the top dancers on the junior elite team, each with a unique style. Maddie with her emotional precision, Chloe with her raw, lyrical grace. But it didn't take long for Abby to make her choice. And spoiler alert, it wasn't Chloe. Abby clearly favored Maddie from the beginning. She got more solos, more featured choreography, more praise in class, and let's be honest, more wins. But the real betrayal wasn't just the favoritism. It was how Abby publicly tore Chloe down to lift Maddie up. Remember when Abby told Chloe she didn't have the winning look? Or when she said Chloe only won competitions when Maddie wasn't there? The digs were constant, subtle, and sometimes not so subtle. And Christy? She saw right through it. Even when Chloe did win, like at Energy Nationals, Abby refused to celebrate her. Instead of offering genuine praise, she criticized her posture, her feet, her everything. Chloe could never win in Abby's eyes, because she wasn't Maddie. And that favoritism wasn't just painful. It was a betrayal of Chloe's loyalty, effort, and obvious talent. The ultimate sting? When Abby gave Maddie a solo at Nationals in Season 4, after promising Chloe her chance to shine. That was the final straw for Christy, who stormed out with Chloe in one of the most emotional walkouts the show ever aired. What started as competition between two dancers turned into a full-blown saga of favoritism, broken trust, and a mother's fierce fight for her daughter's worth. Abby didn't just play favorites. She sidelined Chloe, emotionally and artistically, and that betrayal hurt more than any loss on stage. Christy versus Kelly, the friendship fallout that no one saw coming. For years, Chloe Lukasiak and Kelly Highland were the ride-or-die duo of the ALDC. They were the rebels. The ones who rolled their eyes at Abby's power trips. The moms who weren't afraid to call out favoritism and fight for their daughters together. Fans loved them for it. They brought the chaos, the commentary, and the wine. But behind the scenes, the cracks were already forming. And when the fallout happened, it shattered fans. It all started in Season 4, after Kelly's explosive altercation with Abby that ended with the slap heard round the reality TV world. Kelly and her daughter's broken page were gone. Just like that. No goodbye, no closure. And the vibe between Christy and the rest of the moms instantly shifted. Fans noticed that Christy barely spoke about Kelly after her exit. The friendship that once felt unbreakable suddenly vanished from screen and from real life. Christy continued on with the show. Kelly filed lawsuits. The group photo dynamics got awkward fast. So what happened? Christy later revealed that the friendship ended over trust and betrayal. According to her, Kelly wasn't happy that Christy stayed on the show after her exit. Christy felt caught between loyalty and practicality. She wanted to support Chloe's career, but it came at the cost of a friendship. Kelly saw Christy's decision as disloyal. And from there, the years of laughter, crying, and conspiracy in the back of pyramid practice unraveled. It was a different kind of betrayal. Not loud. Not screamed across the dance studio. But quiet. Personal. Permanent. Fans still beg for a reunion, but as of now, Christy and Kelly haven't spoken in years. One of Dance Mom's strongest alliances turned into one of its saddest losses, and proved that even the tightest friendships weren't safe from the ALDC's curse. Abby's explosive fight with Kelly, the blowout that shook Dance Moms forever. The world of Dance Moms has never been short on chaos. From moms screaming in dressing rooms to dancers crying during Pyramid, the show built its empire on tension. But nothing, and we mean nothing, came close to the chaos unleashed when Kelly Highland went head-to-head with Abby Lee Miller in a fight so wild, it became an instant reality TV legend. This wasn't just a clash of personalities. It was a complete meltdown of trust, loyalty, and years of unresolved tension. One slap, one lawsuit, and a team forever changed. Let's rewind and break down everything that led to the most explosive fight in Dance Moms history. By the time Season 4 began filming, Abby and Kelly had been clashing for years. Fans loved Kelly's sarcastic comebacks, her loyalty to her daughter's broken page, and her no-nonsense attitude. But Abby? Abby saw Kelly as unstable, disrespectful, and let's be real, disposable. The tension reached a fever pitch when Abby started replacing dancers left and right. Kelly watched in horror as her daughters were sidelined by guest dancers, new girls, and every random soloist Abby could find. It wasn't just about the dances anymore. Kelly felt like her family was being pushed out, slowly but surely. And Abby? She didn't hold back. The insults flew. The favoritism was blatant. And every week, Kelly sat on that bench, bubbling with rage. The moment things really went downhill was during the lead-up to a competition episode in Season 4, when Abby brought in yet another new dancer. For Kelly, this was the ultimate betrayal. Her daughters had trained at the ALDC for years, and yet Abby seemed to treat them like they were already gone. In a particularly tense episode, Abby accused Brooke and Paige of lacking commitment. She claimed they weren't passionate, that they didn't want it enough. Kelly snapped. "You're not gonna keep replacing my kids," she said, her voice rising. "You're trying to make them quit." Abby, smug as ever, doubled down. Well, if the shoe fits Kelly, that was it. The line. The moment. The trigger. Kelly stood up, stormed over, and got in Abby's face. In a moment that made reality TV history, Kelly and Abby exploded into a full-blown physical altercation on camera. The fight escalated shockingly fast. Abby screamed. Kelly screamed back. Abby got in her face, wagging a finger. Kelly swatted Abby's hand. And then slap. It was fast. It was shocking. It was raw. The room went dead silent. The other moms were stunned. Producers jumped in. The security team rushed over. Brooke and Paige stood there, stunned, as their mother was escorted out. Abby threatened legal action almost immediately. Kelly, now completely done with the ALDC circus, took her girls and walked out of the studio for the last time. What happened next? Oh, just years of legal battles, social media subtweets, and damaged relationships. Abby pressed charges. Kelly was arrested for assault and slapped with a restraining order. She, in turn, filed lawsuits against both Abby and the production company, claiming emotional distress and unfair treatment. Meanwhile, the fan base was divided. Team Kelly supporters called her a protective mom pushed to her breaking point. Team Abby stans said Kelly was unstable and always dramatic. But no matter what side you were on, one thing was clear. The fight marked the end of an era. Brooke and Paige, two OG dancers, were gone. Just like that. No goodbyes. No farewell performances. The Highland sisters disappeared from the team they helped build. The rest of the season carried on, but it felt different. The original ALDC energy was fractured. The trust between the moms was shaken. And Abby? She never really got over it. One of the most heartbreaking ripple effects of the fight? The collapse of Kelly and Christy's friendship. 4 seasons, Kelly and Christy were the show's ultimate duo. Always side by side. Always trading sarcastic commentary during Pyramid. Always defending each other. But when Kelly left the show after the slap, Christy stayed. And to Kelly? That was a betrayal. Years later, both women confirmed the fallout was real. They hadn't spoken. They weren't friends. The incident at the studio was more than just a fight with Abby. It was the breaking point for a bond that had once felt unbreakable. Fans were devastated. The two moms who took on Abby together were now on opposite paths, and the Dance Moms fandom was never the same. After Kelly's exit, Dance Moms scrambled to fill the void. Abby brought in new dancers. The moms shifted dynamics. But the energy? It never fully recovered. Producers tried to build new rivalries, new storylines, new friendships. But the ghost of the Kelly fight hung over every episode. Every time a mom raised her voice, fans held their breath. Every time Abby brought in a replacement dancer, it echoed the exact move that triggered the slap. And Brooke and Paige? Their absence was glaring. They had been part of the show's DNA. The loss wasn't just emotional, it was structural. Years later, both Brooke and Paige Highland began speaking publicly about what really happened behind the scenes. In interviews, they confirmed what fans suspected. The pressure was intense. The favoritism was obvious. The stress was real. Paige, in particular, revealed that Abby's treatment had long-lasting effects on her confidence. She felt overlooked, unwanted, disposable. It was more than just tough coaching. It was emotional damage. Brooke echoed those sentiments, admitting she wanted to quit the show long before the slap happened. But they stayed for the fans, for their mom, for the team. Their reflections added depth to the moment that once felt like just another blow-up. It wasn't. It was the breaking point of two girls who had had enough. Abby, of course, didn't stay quiet. In the aftermath of the incident, she spoke out repeatedly about feeling physically threatened. She called Kelly's behavior violent and inexcusable. On talk shows, she insisted she did nothing wrong and that Kelly's exit was inevitable. She painted herself as the victim of a hostile mom who couldn't handle the pressure. But fans couldn't help but side-eye Abby's version of events. After all, Abby had taunted Kelly for seasons. She'd embarrassed her daughters, mocked their performances, and repeatedly suggested they weren't good enough. The truth? It was messy on both sides. But Abby's refusal to take any accountability left a sour taste, even for her most loyal defenders. So why does this fight still hit so hard, even years later? Because it wasn't just a slap. It was the collapse of friendships. The end of two dancers' journeys. The moment dance moms went from entertaining chaos to deep emotional fallout. It exposed how far reality TV would push its cast for ratings. How quickly a mother could be villainized for defending her children. And how fragile the bonds on the ALDC team really were. For years, dance moms revolved around one undeniable truth. Maddie Ziegler was Abby's favorite, the golden child, the unbeatable soloist, the dancer who made Abby beam while the rest of the team watched from the sidelines. But in a twist no one saw coming, Maddie left. And when she did, Abby spiraled. What started as whispers of bigger opportunities turned into a full-blown dance mom's earthquake. The prodigy was gone. Abby's loyalty was shattered. And the team? Caught in the emotional fallout. Let's rewind and unpack how Maddie's decision to leave cracked the foundation of the LDC and sent Abby Lee Miller into her most epic meltdown yet. From season 1, it was obvious. Maddie Ziegler was in a league of her own. Abby praised her technique, her performance, her work ethic. She gave Maddie the best choreography, the most solos, and the endless spotlight. Whether it was contemporary, lyrical, or jazz, Maddie always got the emotional pieces with a high chance of winning. And guess what? She did win. Again and again. But Abby's favoritism wasn't subtle. It was painfully obvious to the other moms and the fans. Christy famously referred to Maddie as Abby's little angel. The other girls knew it too. While they trained just as hard, Maddie was the poster child of the ALDC. It worked until it didn't. Everything changed in 2014 when Maddie starred in Sia's Chandelier music video. The video went viral. Global viral. Suddenly, Maddie wasn't just a reality TV dancer, she was a superstar. Interviews, red carpets, late-night shows, Ellen, Jimmy Kimmel, Saturday Night Live. And Abby? She was thrilled at first. Having Maddie in the spotlight validated everything Abby believed, that she could make stars. That her studio, her training, her methods worked. Maddie's rise was Abby's resume in motion. But behind the scenes, things were changing. Maddie started missing competitions. She had scheduling conflicts. Her priorities shifted, and Abby started noticing. By season 6, the writing was on the wall. Maddie was checked out. She was less involved in group numbers, increasingly absent from classes, and visibly more interested in her Hollywood career. The moms started whispering, "She's leaving. She's not committed anymore. Abby's going to lose it." And they weren't wrong. In a bombshell moment, Melissa finally confirmed what everyone suspected. Maddie and Mackenzie were leaving the show. The moms were stunned. Abby was blindsided. And fans? Shook. Melissa said it was time. That Maddie had outgrown the show. That she didn't want her daughters in a toxic environment anymore. But Abby? Abby saw it as the ultimate betrayal. Once the news was out, Abby started unraveling. In real time, she began nitpicking Maddie's performances, questioning her commitment, giving her choreography that felt uninspired. It was like Abby was emotionally distancing herself before Maddie could leave first. And the tension between Abby and Melissa? Next level. Abby felt abandoned. Melissa insisted she was doing what was best for her daughters. But Abby couldn't hide her feelings. "You're turning your back on everything we built," she told Melissa in one scene, her voice cracking. To Abby, this wasn't just about losing a dancer. It was about losing her legacy. Maddie was her proof that the ALDC produced greatness. Without her, what did Abby have? Maddie's last few episodes were emotionally charged. Her solos felt like goodbye letters. The group routines became strained. You could feel the distance between her and Abby growing wider each week. In her final episode, Maddie danced one last solo, and of course she won. But the energy was different. There were tears, hugs, a sense of finality. The moms cried. The team cried. Abby? She didn't show up for Maddie's send-off. She ghosted her favorite student on the most important moment of her career at the ALDC. A no-show from the woman who had once said, "I'm going to make you a star." It was petty. It was painful. It was so Abby. In the episodes following Maddie's departure, Abby fully came unhinged. She lost control of the team. The moms began questioning her leadership. The choreography got messier. The new dancers couldn't fill the Maddie-sized hole in the group. And Abby? She spiraled. She screamed more. She showed up late, or not at all. Her heart just wasn't in it anymore. It was like the magic had left with Maddie. Behind the scenes, rumors swirled that Abby was clashing with producers, that she hated the direction of the show, that she was battling legal issues, which, spoiler alert, she was. Maddie's exit didn't just break Abby's heart, it broke her grip on the show. Even after Maddie left, Abby couldn't stop talking about her. She referenced her in pyramid critiques. She compared new dancers to her constantly. Maddie would have done it better, became her favorite line. It was obsessive. She started trying to replace Maddie, enter Bryn, then Cameron, then random one-off dancers who were clearly being tested as the next Maddie. But none of them measured up. Not in Abby's eyes. To the fans, it felt like Abby was stuck in a loop. Still clinging to the past. Still nursing the wound of being left behind. After leaving the show, Melissa and Maddie were silent for a while. No interviews. No public feuds. But as Maddie's star rose, think movie roles, fashion campaigns, siwanators, they started speaking out. And while they didn't hold back, Maddie revealed that filming Dance Moms was traumatizing. That she often cried after filming. That Abby made her feel pressured and guilty whenever she showed emotion. She admitted she wanted to quit earlier, but stayed out of obligation. And Melissa backed her up, saying she regretted letting her daughters be treated like that on national television. Abby? She was furious. She accused Maddie of being ungrateful, of rewriting history, of pretending she wasn't the one who made her famous. It turned ugly. Fast. Abby and Melissa were once so close. Fans joked that they were married. Abby trusted Melissa, let her into her inner circle, and showed her actual kindness, a rare thing on Dance Moms. But Maddie's departure broke that relationship beyond repair. Today they don't speak. Abby still throws shade online. Melissa keeps it classy, but clearly wants nothing to do with her former mentor. It's the ultimate Dance Moms irony. The woman who launched Maddie's career became the person she most wanted to leave behind. Maddie's departure wasn't just the end of an era. It was the end of the ALDC as we knew it. The team lost its center. Abby lost her muse. And the moms? They realized no one was safe. After Maddie left, a wave of exits followed. Jojo, Kendall, Nia. The original team disbanded, and Dance Moms entered its messy, rotating cast era. Nothing was the same. Nothing felt the same. Because Maddie wasn't just Abby's favorite. She was the beating heart of the ALDC. And when she left, everything and everyone fell apart. Maddie Ziegler walking away from Dance Moms was the boldest move any cast member ever made. She walked away from fame, from favoritism, from a mentor who claimed to love her, but also controlled her. And Abby? She's still talking about it. Still chasing the magic she had with Maddie. Still angry that the girl she gave everything to left anyway. But if you ask Maddie, she doesn't regret a thing. When fans first tuned into Dance Moms, it was all about the OGs. Maddie, Chloe, Nia, Brooke, Paige, and Mackenzie, and their wild, unforgettable moms. These girls were the ALDC legacy. But by season 6, the tides were turning. Cue the chaos. Maddie and Mackenzie left. Jojo said goodbye. Kendall, Nia, and Kalani were losing patience. And then, Abby brought in the minis. It was the most controversial move in Dance Moms history. Abby wasn't just building a new team. She was replacing the OGs. One tiny dancer at a time. The result? Tension, tantrums, and one of the most jaw-dropping shakeups in ALDC history. Let's rewind. By mid-season 6, the ALDC elite team was falling apart. Melissa announced that Maddie and Mackenzie were leaving. Jojo was catching heat. The moms were constantly bickering with Abby, who had one foot in the courtroom and one foot out the studio door. It was clear the OG era was ending. But Abby? She wasn't about to give up her empire. Instead, she decided to start fresh, with the Minis, a pint-sized powerhouse team of talented 6 to 9-year-olds. The moms were stunned. The fans were furious. But Abby? She was ready to mold a new generation of dancers in her image. And just like that, the mini-team was born. The ALDC mini-team made their debut with big bows, bigger attitudes, and moms who were somehow just as chaotic as the originals. Who made the cut? Liliana Ketchman, aka Lily, a flexible firecracker with a winning smile and intense stage presence. Aliana Walmsley, graceful, technical, and quickly becoming a breakout star. Peyton Evans, jazz queen with energy to spare. Irina Lopez, sweet but fierce. Alexis Olati, nicknamed Giggles. But this girl meant business. These girls were tiny, but they were fierce. Abby dubbed them her next generation, and suddenly the pressure was on. The moms? Already sharpening their claws. When Abby announced she was building a mini-team, the OG moms felt blindsided. Christy wasn't around, but the others, especially Jill, Holly, and Kira, were livid. They saw it as an insult. A slap in the face. After years of loyalty, travel, and drama, Abby was tossing their daughters aside for a bunch of tiny toddlers. Jill, as always, said it best. We're not here to babysit. There was a real sense of tension between the old and new. The minis hadn't even unpacked their dance bags before the elite moms were whispering, siding, and accusing them of being Abby's new favorites. Was it fair? Maybe not. But this was Dance Moms after all. Once Maddie was gone, Abby needed a new muse, and she found it in Liliana and Eliana. Lily's over-the-top facials and flexibility quickly won Abby over. She started giving her strong solos, prime stage time, and lots of praise. Sound familiar? Eliana, with her technical precision, also caught Abby's eye. She reminded fans of a young Chloe, only with a mom who was ready to fight for her spot at the top. It didn't take long before the favoritism started creeping back in. And with that, the mini-moms started turning on each other. If you thought the OG moms were chaotic, buckle up. The mini-moms had everything. Jealousy, rivalries, epic insults, and delusions of grandeur. Stacy, Eliana's mom, and Yolanda, Lily's mom, quickly became the stars of the drama. Their fights were next level. Screaming matches, finger-pointing, accusations of favoritism, sabotage, and even threats. One infamous fight? Stacy allegedly lunged at Yolanda during a dressing room meltdown, leading to security stepping in. Yes, seriously. And through it all, Abby just sat back and watched the chaos unfold, probably loving every second. With two teams under one roof, the stage was set for maximum tension. The elite team was trying to hang on to their spot. The minis were trying to prove themselves. Abby kept playing both sides, using the elite girls to teach and mentor the minis, which only made things worse. At one point, the OGs were told to partner with the minis. Some tried to help. Others rolled their eyes. You could feel the divide growing. Even though the minis were younger and newer, they were winning competitions. They were getting solos. Abby was giving them more and more attention. It was like watching your little sister take your place, in real time. There was a moment in Season 6B where fans seriously started wondering, Is Abby phasing out the OGs completely? The mini-team was performing full group routines. Abby was choreographing entire weeks around them. The camera time shifted dramatically. Suddenly, the OG girls were becoming background dancers on their own show. At one point, the minis outperformed the elite team at a competition, and Abby loved it. She gloated. She said the minis had more potential. She even hinted that they'd be the future of the ALDC. The OG moms were furious, especially Jill, who said, "This show wouldn't exist without our girls." She wasn't wrong. Here's where things get juicy. The Dance Moms fanbase wasn't loving the mini takeover. Many fans felt the minis were cute, but lacked the emotional depth and drama that made the OGs so iconic. The storylines weren't hitting the same. The rivalries didn't have history. And Abby's new favorites weren't Maddie level just yet. Social media blew up with complaints. "Oh, bring back the real team. These kids are too young." The show lost its edge. The ratings dipped. The backlash got loud. And producers? They started scrambling. Just as quickly as they rose, the minis vanished. After a few explosive episodes in Season 6 and the start of Season 7, most of the minis faded into the background, or left entirely. Peyton, Alexis, Irina, gone. Even Liliana and Eliana took breaks or shifted into different team roles. Their moms clashed so often, it became impossible to keep them in the same room. And with Abby's mounting legal problems, plus her eventual sentencing, the show started losing its focus. The mini-team was meant to be the future. But in the end, they were a temporary distraction from a sinking ship. So, what happened to the minis after the chaos? Liliana Ketchman became a breakout star on social media. She built a massive YouTube channel, launched her own brand, and kept dancing professionally. She's one of the few who really ran with her fame. Eliana Walmsley continued dancing competitively and made waves in the ballet world. She's also done modeling and TikTok, keeping her spotlight strong. The others largely faded from the Dance Moms universe, remembered more for their mom's drama than their dancing. As for the mini-team legacy, it's complicated. They were talented, sure, but they'll always be known as the group that tried and failed to replace the OGs. In the end, Abby's plan to rebuild the ALDC with a new crop of minis was ambitious, but ultimately backfired. The OGs weren't just dancers. They were TV gold. Their chemistry, history, and heartbreak made Dance Moms iconic. The minis never stood a chance of recreating that magic. Fans didn't want younger. They wanted real. They wanted drama with depth. And while the mini era had its moments and some seriously wild mom fights, it couldn't compare to the OG golden age. Abby learned that the hard way: you can train technique. You can't train chemistry. And for all the minis' talent, no one could ever truly replace the originals. If you thought Dr. Holly Fraser was just the calm, collected mom in the corner sipping tea, think again. Because underneath that polished exterior, a fire was burning. And when it finally exploded, it rocked the ALDC to its core. For years, Holly was the voice of reason on Dance Moms. While other moms were flipping tables, storming out, or getting physical, Holly was the one delivering iconic eye rolls and dropping truth bombs with surgical precision. But even the most composed queen has her breaking point. And when it came, Holly didn't just walk away quietly. She reclaimed her power and made it very clear she was done with Team Abby. This is the full breakdown of Holly's journey from loyal ALDC supporter to righteous rebel. From the moment Season 1 started, Holly stood out. She wasn't a pageant mom. She wasn't a dance teacher. She wasn't even that invested in the drama at first. Holly was an educator, a PhD, and a professional woman. Her daughter, Nia, was passionate about dance, but they were definitely the outsiders in Abby's cookie-cutter, Maddie-centric world. While the other girls were getting solos every week, Nia was stuck in group numbers, or worse, in the back. And Holly? She watched silently for a while. But every mom has her limit. Let's talk about it. Abby Lee Miller's blatant favoritism toward Maddie Ziegler is legendary. But Holly saw the deeper implications, especially when it came to how Nia was treated. There were moments that made fans' jaws drop. Abby once accused Nia of lacking ethnic diversity in a routine. She gave Nia culturally insensitive choreography. She sidelined her in duets and trios, opting for her favorites every time. And Holly? She clocked it all. Calmly. Eloquently. Publicly. Still she stayed. She believed in the ALDC. She believed in giving Nia a chance to prove herself. She even defended Abby at times, until the excuses stopped being enough. One of Holly's most iconic moments came in season 4, when Abby completely disrespected her in front of the team. After calling Holly's parenting into question again, Abby dismissed her entirely, saying Nia wasn't even on her radar. It was a turning point. Holly snapped back. I am not going to allow my daughter to be disrespected by someone who can't even spell respect. Then she packed her bag and left the room like an absolute queen. That moment was peak Holly. Educated, composed, and done with Abby's nonsense. By season 5, Holly had completely transformed. She was no longer playing the background mom. She was fighting for Nia's spot, her dignity, and her career. Remember the infamous argument between Abby and Holly over Nia's music video career? Abby refused to support Nia's single Star in Your Own Life and accused Holly of going behind her back. Holly? She was ready. You don't own my child. You don't own her opportunities. And you sure as hell don't get to silence me. Boom. The studio shook. The other moms gasped. And Abby? She lost whatever control she thought she had over Holly that day. Here's the thing. Holly wasn't always on the same page as the other moms either. Especially when it came to how they handled Abby. There were moments where Jill, Kira, and Jesselyn tried to gang up on Holly, calling her difficult or dramatic, which was, frankly, laughable considering their own chaos. But Holly held her ground. She didn't scream. She didn't throw drinks. She just used logic and facts, which, ironically, made her more dangerous in arguments than anyone else. And when the other moms started criticizing Nia for trying to be a pop star, Holly clapped back like only she could. Maybe if your kids had other talents, you'd understand. Queen behavior. One of the most satisfying arcs on Dance Moms was watching Nia blossom, especially under Holly's guidance, not Abby's. Despite being repeatedly told she wasn't a technical dancer, Nia kept working. She booked music videos. She toured with other artists. She built a social media following. And she did it without Abby's help. That success? It was Holly's win. She nurtured her daughter's confidence while Abby tried to break it down. She gave Nia the tools to build a career outside of the toxic ALDC bubble. And the best part? Nia stayed humble. She never gloated. She never attacked other girls. She just let her work speak for itself. That's a Holly legacy if we've ever seen one. The true breaking point came in season 5 when Abby humiliated Nia during rehearsal, saying she was washed up and had no star power. She even mocked Nia's singing. Holly exploded. You've insulted my child for the last time. I will no longer sit here and allow you to disrespect her or me. I am done being polite. This wasn't a dramatic storm-off. This was a declaration. Holly made it crystal clear that the ALDC's culture of favoritism, exclusion, and verbal abuse was not something she or Nia would tolerate anymore. That moment wasn't just the end of an argument. It was the end of the illusion that Abby was in charge of everything. Post-LDC, Holly didn't just disappear into the background. She thrived. She became an advocate for positive parenting, especially in the entertainment industry. She gave interviews, joined panels, and promoted respectful mentorship for young performers. Holly turned her time on Dance Moms into a platform, not a pity party. She also continued supporting Nia, who branched into acting, modeling, and even Broadway. Every win Nia had was a win for Holly, too. Proof that standing up to Abby had been the right move. And let's be real, fans loved her even more after she broke free. Years later, during Dance Moms, Resurrection, and Reunion specials, Abby tried to make peace with some of the original moms. She gave interviews where she spoke about regrets and misunderstandings. But when it came to Holly, the vibe was icy. Holly was polite, but distant. You could tell she had moved on and had no interest in rekindling whatever fake friendship Abby was offering. In interviews, she said, "We all came into that studio with hopes and dreams for our daughters. But you can't chase dreams in a toxic environment." Ouch. Truth bombs only. Here's what makes Holly such a Dance Moms legend. She didn't have to be loud to be powerful. She didn't have to scream to be heard. She didn't need to be messy to be iconic. Fans still talk about her strength, her class, and her unwillingness to let anyone diminish her or Nia's worth. She was a mother first. And in a show full of chaos, that made her stand out even more. By walking away from Abby and the ALDC, Holly sent a message to every viewer watching. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect your peace. And you are allowed to choose you. Team Abby? Not anymore. Every fan of Dance Moms knows the rivalry between the ALDC and the Candy Apples, Cathy Nesbitt Stein's infamous dance team. But while the feud had its share of heated moments, there was one betrayal that fans can never forget. A betrayal that rocked the foundation of the Candy Apples and revealed a side of Cathy that we hadn't seen before. Cathy, the self-proclaimed anti-Abby and loudmouth who loved to stir the pot, was no stranger to drama. But her ultimate betrayal sent shockwaves not just through the ALDC, but through her own team. It was the moment when Cathy chose personal vendettas over loyalty, and when the consequences of her actions unraveled everything she had worked for. When Cathy Nesbitt Stein first appeared on Dance Moms, she was full of swagger, her voice louder than any other mom in the room. She wasn't afraid to take on Abby Lee Miller, and that, in itself, was a feat. Her Candy Apples dance team was a direct competitor to Abby's ALDC, and she made it clear from the start that she intended to put Abby on notice. Her team wasn't full of star-studded names like the ALDC. Instead, Cathy's squad was made up of misfits, including her daughter, Vivienne, who was often caught in the crossfire of Abby's insults and criticism. Cathy's sole mission? To destroy Abby Lee Miller's empire and make her feel the sting of competition. But Cathy's decision to focus so much on Abby led her to a dark place, a place where personal vendettas began to overshadow her own team's potential. It didn't take long for viewers to notice the strained relationship between Cathy and her daughter Vivienne. While Cathy demanded perfection from every member of her team, Vivi was often the weakest link. Yet, despite her lack of skills compared to the other girls, Cathy always pushed Vivi into the spotlight, determined to prove a point to Abby. However, Cathy's obsession with proving Abby wrong often led to damaging consequences for Vivi. Cathy refused to accept that Vivi might not have the talent to compete at the highest level, instead pushing her further and further into the limelight, even when it was clear that Vivi wasn't ready. This dynamic set the stage for a series of questionable decisions. Cathy's inability to admit that her daughter might not be cut out for the competitive dance world led to the ultimate betrayal, sacrificing Vivi's well-being for her own ego. In Season 3, Cathy took her rivalry with Abby to a whole new level. She made a controversial move that would forever change the trajectory of her Candy Apples team. Cathy began to openly recruit former ALDC members to join her team, including some familiar faces who had left Abby's squad under strained circumstances. One of the most shocking of these was Chloe Lukasiak, a fan favorite and one of Abby's original dancers. Chloe, who had experienced years of drama and emotional turmoil under Abby's reign, was enticed by Cathy's offer of a fresh start. Cathy promised her a new environment where she could thrive, away from Abby's harsh criticisms. But the truth behind Cathy's move wasn't as noble as it seemed. Cathy wasn't interested in helping Chloe. Instead, she was using Chloe's departure as a way to one-up Abby and prove that her team could succeed without Abby's guidance. It was a classic Cathy move. Take the most vulnerable and use them to make a statement. Cathy had already done it to Vivi, and now Chloe was next. Chloe's brief time with the Candy Apples was marked by tension, frustration, and ultimately disappointment. Cathy's manipulative tactics had left Chloe feeling more isolated and unsure of herself than before. What was supposed to be a fresh start quickly turned into another pageant of false promises, with Cathy no better than Abby in terms of emotional manipulation. As time went on, Cathy's focus seemed to shift even more drastically. No longer just obsessed with her rivalry with Abby, Cathy began to play the game of loyalty. She would claim that her girls came first, but when things got tough, Cathy's self-serving instincts took over. In a key moment, she promised her Candy Apples that she would support them no matter what, that her team was a family. But as soon as things started to go south, especially in the wake of Chloe's departure, Cathy's loyalty to her team seemed more and more questionable. By the time the season finale rolled around, Cathy's true colors were on full display. Her decision to betray her own team in pursuit of her vendetta against Abby became apparent. Cathy was willing to throw anyone under the bus if it meant getting back at Abby, and that included sacrificing her own dancers' emotional well-being for the sake of drama. It was clear now that Cathy wasn't fighting for the success of her team. She was fighting for her ego. And that was the betrayal that stung the most. The fallout from Cathy's actions was swift and painful. The Candy Apples, once a team with potential, fractured under the weight of Cathy's toxic leadership. The girls who had once been motivated to prove themselves felt disillusioned. Some left the team, while others struggled with their place in Cathy's chaotic world. For Chloe, the effects of the betrayal were deep. She had trusted Cathy to be different from Abby, but instead, she was subjected to more manipulation, more emotional stress, and even more public humiliation. Cathy's actions had not only hurt Chloe but also her entire team. And the worst part? Cathy never took responsibility for her actions. She refused to acknowledge the harm she had caused. Instead, she doubled down on her mission to take down Abby, regardless of the cost to those around her. Even after all the chaos, Cathy never stopped her war with Abby. Her fixation on Abby's downfall led her to some of the most dramatic moments in Dance Mom's history. But with each new scandal, Cathy's credibility as a better coach started to unravel. By season 4, Cathy's obsession with being better than Abby had backfired. She was no longer the strong, confident competitor she had once been. Instead, she became an emotional wreck, caught in a cycle